I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is occurring on the traditional territory of the Mississauga of New Credit First Nation, and we thank the First Nations and Métis for sharing their lands with us in peace. We have one guest this morning, I believe. Jeff Hirsch, are you there? You're not here yet. Oh, he's not here yet. Jeff Hirsch, president of the Federation of Law Societies, may be joining us later on this morning. In that case, we can move directly to the order of the day, which is the treasurer election. So I'd like to call on our chief electoral officer, Mr. Jim Barrow.
Thank you, Treasurer. For those who have not voted in the advance poll, all eligible voting benchers, we have a voting station set up outside on Benchers Landing. I have the ballot for you, so please make your way to the landing. I'll give you a ballot. Please mark the ballot with the candidate of your choice and place it in the ballot box.
Mr. Barrow will announce the results of the first ballot.
59 votes were cast on the first ballot. This includes the votes in the advance poll. The results: Mr. Anand, 14, Mr. Goldblatt, 15, Ms. McGrath, 4, Mr. Schabas, 26. We will now have a second ballot for those who have not voted in the advance poll. So please make your way to the landing for the second ballot vote. Benchers, I apologize. I should have made clear that as a result of the first ballot, Ms. McGrath is removed as a bencher. I'm sorry. She's removed as a candidate in the election of treasurer. We'll now go count the votes for the second ballot. Benchers, the results of the second ballot: Mr. Anand, 14, Mr. Goldblatt, 16, Mr. Schabas, 29. This means we must now have a third ballot. And, Mr. Anand is removed as a candidate in the election of treasurer. So the next ballot will be Mr. Goldblatt and Mr. Schabas. Please make your way to the landing to vote on the third ballot. Benchers, I'd like to announce the results of the third ballot in the treasurer's election. 59 ballots cast. Mr. Goldblatt, 21. Mr. Schabas, 38. I declare Mr. Schabas elected as president.
Treasurer, may I move that the election of Mr. Schabas be made unanimous?
So, Mr. Barrow, what do I do now? My directions tell me that former Treasurer Minor moves to the podium to say a few words. Ms. Minor.
Thank you, Treasurer. First, congratulations. Thank you to all the candidates. I know it was obviously a serious effort on everyone's part, and democracy is the answer to all of this. So, leads me to self-government. I think that is one of the most essential parts of the independence of the bar. And good governance of the Law Society is how we ensure that self-government will continue. I know that our new treasurer, Paul Schabas, will do a wonderful job, and that this convocation will continue with all our initiatives and approaches to ensuring that we continue good governance for the profession. I want to say we've taken our responsibility seriously. In the last 2 years, I thank all the chairs of the committees, co-chairs, vice chairs, members of committees. There was a lot of work done, a lot of time spent, and I think we all appreciate each other's approaches. A number of serious initiatives were undertaken. Obviously, our regulatory and admissions areas are two of our most important. Some have begun there, and I know they will continue, along with the priorities set by this convocation. One of the comments that some people have made to me was that engagement with the profession was one of my personal priorities. And in fact, I wouldn't put it that way. I would say our initiatives were my personal priorities, but that the way I thought we should do it was through intensified engagement with our professions and the public. And I'm very hopeful that the next convocation and treasurer will continue some of the things that were started, like some of the new roundtables. I found them extremely helpful, and I want to pass that on. They give voice to people who don't always have as much of an opportunity. So part of the engagement, however, did renew my faith in both of our professions. We are in very challenging times for the professions, and we have, I think, very resilient professionals to approach those challenges. Part of our initiatives, I think, have been also directed at trying to support our membership in meeting some of those challenges, and I am particularly proud of our initiatives both on coaching and advisory structure, and also on our mental health and wellness structure. I'm going to end right now with, again, a very big thank you. I wish I had spoken to every single person last night. Somehow it was hard to do. I felt like our end of term dinner last night was sort of a bit like a New Year's Eve party. It's sort of out with the old and today in with the new. So I think celebration is the order of the day. I wanted to end with only one point, which again it became a very personal commitment to one of our initiatives, and that is the need for us to make serious efforts in the reconciliation process with our First Nations. The justice system needs to play a large part, the Law Society in turn, and frankly, it's up to each of us as individuals to collectively and individually to work towards this very important goal. So thank you very, very much.
She left before I could thank her, but the record of convocation today, of course, should reflect all of our thanks to Treasurer Minor for her extraordinary work over the last 2 years and over the many years she's been a bencher. She has had many great accomplishments over her term as treasurer, and we're very much in her debt. And we look forward, of course, to staying in touch with her. I know I have her phone number, and I think the record should reflect all of our thanks to her. So thank you all for giving her that warm wishes as we seem to continue what she described as the cruel tradition that the former treasurer is dispatched in short order after the election of the new one. So we'll take a break in a few minutes, but my notes now require me to suggest that I ask whether the other candidates would like to address convocation. Mr. Goldblatt.
I would. Thank you, Treasurer Schabas, for giving me this opportunity to be one of the first to address convocation and to congratulate you, and I'll come back to you in a minute. As soon as I can control myself, I'll congratulate you. I just have a few things to say. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the candidates who ran in this election. What has been said to me over and over was how decent and civil this entire process has been. There was, to my knowledge, no sniping, no backbiting. We addressed the issues that we were running on and promoting, I think in the highest interest of the profession and in the highest interest of convocation. And so I thank you for putting yourselves forward. And in my case for being humiliated, but it's fine. I'd also like to thank the people who helped me, and they know who they are. No one does this without having at least some support as you embark on this exercise. And I've in fact been extremely assisted by dedicated, committed, enthusiastic people, and I will name them. I hope you're not embarrassed. Ms. Murchie, Mr. Mercer, Mr. Callahan, Ms. Corsetti, and Ms. Hartman. I very much appreciate all the advice and assistance you've given me throughout the campaign. Thirdly, I'd just like to say to all of my venture colleagues, I've said it many times throughout the course of the campaign, and I want to repeat it. To me, the privilege and benefit of having put my name forward is to meet with as many of you as I possibly could on a one-on-one basis and to get to know you in ways that I wouldn't otherwise do so. The one regret that I do have is that the opportunity to spend those times together, to listen to what you have to say and to take it in and exchange views on what I know you all are concerned about, and that is the regulation of the professions in the public interest, is one that I would have preferred to do from where Mr. Schabas is sitting, but I will do so from wherever I am allowed to sit in the remainder of my term. And lastly, Treasurer Schabas, I have said this to you before, I say it again, you have my unreserved support. I will do whatever I can because I know that we share much of the same, if not all of the same objectives, and I know that we will work together, and I look forward to doing that as we continue to do what convocation must do, and that's to serve the public interest. So thank you all for your support, and thank you, Treasurer, for allowing me to speak at this point.
Mr. Anand?
Treasurer Schabas, let me be the second to extend my heartfelt congratulations to you upon your election. And to my fellow candidates, in addition to you, Mr. Goldblatt and Ms. McGrath, for the countless hours, the commitment, the staying power, and the thoughtful and respectful debate that all of you engendered, and I think we all benefited from as we move forward. I also want to thank my many supporters for their loyal and indefatigable work, assisting me, advising, and contributing to the gut-wrenching exercise in democracy that we've just capped off. I also want to thank all benchers for the time and energy that they put in to the treasurer election. The amount of commitment, the inquisitive, thoughtful, brash, loyal group of benchers were truly something to marvel over a period of the last several months. We are no longer supporters of one candidate or another. We are all benchers with a common purpose of working together. Treasurer, I will myself serve in whatever role you see fit for me, and so that I, amongst all of you, can make my contribution to your success as treasurer.
Thank you.
very much.
Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Treasurer. May I be the third? And provide my commitment to work with you in any way that you deem appropriate during your term as bencher. I think it's a very exciting time for all of us to move forward with Mr. Schabas as our treasurer. I think we all owe him our complete commitment and dedication to the work that he is going to suggest to us. And that I'm sure we will adopt many of his suggestions. I certainly want to thank the other candidates for what was a very positive campaign. As has already been said, there was no sniping, there was no criticisms of others, and I think that is the way an election should be run. It was very civilized and as I said, very positive, and a very positive experience to do this. I'd like to thank my nominators and the person who voted for me. I really appreciated that as well. And I would like to thank all of you for the discussions we've had, for being able to get to know you and talk to you. And as I said, I'm committed to working with you in any way I can, Treasurer, in order to ensure that your 2 years as Treasurer are very successful.
Thank you very much. Well, let me start by, of course, thanking the three of you for those very kind remarks and to pay tribute to each of you. I agree wholeheartedly with what you've all said about our campaign, and I respect each of you enormously, and I want to thank you for running. As you can imagine, putting oneself forward for a post like this is not easy. It takes courage, stamina, and I think a bit of foolishness. You have to be prepared to lose, as my wife kept reminding me. But each of you made a great contribution in this process. It is a gut-wrenching process. I still feel it's a bit gut-wrenching right now to be here, but we will benefit enormously from your continued work as benchers. And I know that each one of you would have made an excellent treasurer, and you'll be holding me to your high standards. And I certainly welcome your help and support in doing that. So thank you, Mr. Goldblatt, Mr. Anand, and Ms. McGrath for that. I'd also like to thank those of you who put me up to this many months ago, who encouraged me and supported me in this effort. You know who you are, and I just want to say that I am extremely grateful to each of you. And I'm, of course, honored and humbled by the support of the bench and your confidence in electing me as treasurer. So I want to thank you all for your support. I've been here for 9 years, and for a number of them, I can say that becoming treasurer seemed, well, almost inconceivable. It was also something that took me a long time to decide that I wanted to do, as I know it will be an extraordinary commitment of time and energy, and that there is a great responsibility placed on me as your representative and as the leader of the legal profession in the province of Ontario. Over the past few months, though, meeting with so many of you and discussing our role as benchers and our goals and objectives, I've learned a great deal. And I've also been reminded of the strength and depth of us as a group. We are a group of diverse and strong-minded people. And while as treasurer I lead the organization, I am mindful that I am simply a first among equals. I chair the meetings in which you and we bring forward matters to improve and enhance the things we are charged with doing. Namely, of course, to ensure that we have and apply and enforce appropriate standards of competence and professional conduct, and that in doing so we fulfill our duties to maintain and advance the cause of justice and the rule of law, to act to facilitate access to justice, to protect the public interest, and to act efficiently and openly. I didn't write those. Those are, of course, our statutory objectives, and we must bear those in mind at all times in conducting our work here. But as you know, I have some goals for my term, and I've discussed them with many of you. And they, of course, overlap with, I think, what was a very successful strategic planning session and the priorities that we set last fall at Niagara-on-the-Lake. These include, first, addressing some governance issues, including the role and composition of committees and staff. This goes to the issue of improving our organizational effectiveness, one of our strategic priorities. A good board, in my view, always thinks about governance, and we must too. Secondly, focusing on our core operations in order to lead as a professional regulator. This includes having us, as Convocation, discuss and address those operations more directly. Professional regulation and the regulatory process, including addressing major equity initiatives on which we must focus, and on the steps we have committed to on mental health and mentoring to meet our mandate of protecting the public interest. Third, we have pressing issues dealing with licensing and competence that we have been debating in committee and on which we need to make decisions in the fall. This will be a priority over the summer for me and for many of us who will be looking at these issues. Fourth, we also set as a priority the need to engage with our stakeholders, which includes our members and the public. We need to develop a strategic communications plan and implement it promptly. We have much to be proud of as a profession. And as a law society, lawyers and paralegals play a critical role in our justice system and in upholding the rule of law. Public knowledge of what we do, who does it, and how the public can access us as lawyers, as paralegals, and as a regulator is critical to our ability to continue to self-regulate and preserve our independence. Fifth, we must take a leadership role in enhancing access to justice. The Law Society can't fix the access to justice challenges on its own, but it can be more active in working with government, the courts, Legal Aid Ontario, and others in pushing for changes and improvements in how legal services are delivered in Ontario. We have a critical role to play here to improve access to legal services, and I will be speaking to many of you on how to do that over the coming months. This is just a snapshot of things on our full and busy agenda over the next several years. I'm just here for two. I'm only here for 2 more, not 3 more now. However, the only way we can achieve these goals is as a team that benefits from input from all of us. We have a wide range of opinions in this room, and they must all be heard and respected. Debate and dissent is not only okay, it is to be encouraged. We will come to better decisions after full discussion with more information and challenges to our proposals. And so, paraphrasing Justice Brennan, a great U.S. Supreme Court judge who wrote on free expression, I am committed to having inclusive, robust, and wide-open discussion. But at the end of the day, we must make decisions on the tough issues and move forward efficiently, decisively, in a timely way. We are all here for the same reason, to improve our profession and act in the public interest, and together we can achieve results we are proud of at the end of our time here. So let's get to work. Thank you very much. The next item on Mr. Varro's script is that we will take the morning break.